Chosen by destiny.
But in the end,
There can be only one.
Three indie comic campaigns enter, one campaign leaves. That's right. It's time once again for the comic book showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Are we excited here? Let's bring in our other host with the most, Mr. Smurf. How are you doing today?
Hello.
He's here. He's back. Welcome back, sir. Welcome everyone else to the episode 70 of the Comic Book Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, where we help indie comic creators succeed by taking a dive into their campaign and seeing if we can find ways to improve it. Last week we had a special guest, Mr. Fish Lee, and together we looked at a comic called The Sentinels and The Night Slayer and Mosquito. Watch the last episode to see who won that one. I'm not going to give it away. We got several people in the chat already. Welcome, Dead Cosmos, John Westoff, Benjamin. They're all here. You might notice we got a fancy new feature over here where the chat scrolls on the screen. That way everybody can see it. Todd's with us. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm a little out of focus, or Smurf's a little out of focus. I don't know. There's a couple of things going on here. Number one, I'm noticing, even though I normally get almost a gigabyte of per second speed of download on my Comcast, for some reason, this time of day, every time I go to do this show, I'm checking. I just checked at fast.com and I'm running at like 250, like a quarter of the speed. So I don't know what's going on with that. I also know that today there's some construction going out on the deck. So hopefully we won't hear any of that. But I don't know if that has anything to do with the focus or the quality. But we're gonna try our best. We do what we can here, you know. But let's see. Also, Mr. Fish says had it loaded up and everything and didn't start playing. Start over. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see. And let's see. We got a lot of stuff going on. Last weekend we had Halloween, which was great. We went to Boo at the Zoo. And then somehow I avoided it, but everyone else in the fam got, terribly sick and with some sort of bug, and that painful, stabbing gut, projectile vomiting kind of sick.
Oh,
I never wondered until this weekend, like, how much food you could stuff into a 12-year-old boy. But my goodness, that guy, he just kept projecting. Jimmy's over there with a shovel trying to get it up off the floor. It was terrible.
oh my god.
But yeah.
Funny.
But
So it is
go ahead.
an RMC weekend. RMC is this weekend. So if you have plans to attend a local con, RMC at the Embassy Suites Hotel off of I-70 and Havana, sure, we'll go with that, is going to be opening its doors and money being shared with Cap for Kids, which is an amazing charity ran by Sterling, Captain America, and all tickets sold goes to that charity and helping children with pediatric cancer. And it's really nice, and it's fun, and it's a chance to see the collectors. This is it. I mean, for me, this is kind of the close of the con season for me. It's a lie, but for me, this is it. I'm done. Now we start Christmas. We've got toy drives going on and all sorts of other things, and
Yep.
I can rest a little
Tell
bit.
Tim that I dropped the ball. I ran into him 2 or 3 times over the course of the summer, and I was like, "Hey, I'd love to be at your show." And he's like, "Just, fill out the application. It's like $50 per table." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then I totally dropped the ball and didn't get it filled out. Too many things on my plate, too many different directions I've been pulled in. I've been struggling with that lately, guys. I know all of you guys are familiar with this as creators, as people that we're trying to do our own thing. I got 3 or 4 different classes at school I'm trying to manage, and right now I'm trying to set them up for being hybrids, and I'm building a whole brand new class for next semester. You start getting where you're thinking about all these different things, and start losing track. My
Oh, yeah.
goal winter is to start streamlining and eliminating some of the bricks on my shoulders, getting things taken off of things so I can start focusing more on creating, which is what Travis and Mr. Fish are chatting about here. Travis says, "I want to thank you for taking part in Indietober." I want to thank you, Travis, for making Indietober. In case you guys didn't catch that, it is Travis has done this for a couple of years now. People submit their indie comic campaigns or their characters from their campaigns. I don't know how he goes about choosing them, but he selects 31 of them and then randomizes them and puts them in a list. And then he has a stream on both, a chat on both Discord, as well as he'll make a private group on Facebook, where he'll post up, "Hey, this is the one for today. Here is some of the artwork and you can reference," and then everybody kind of just does some sketches of that character of the day. And so it's really great way to connect with the rest of the comic community. And this segues into something that I want to like build on for a future episode. I've been getting the data. I want to put together some visual slides for a future episode, but this has to do with being part of the community and getting involved so that you can bring your community and your fan base to your campaigns. I am seeing way too many great comic creators and great ideas for comics and stories like hitting this wall of like 20 to 30 backers. If you're only getting 20 to 30 backers, generally what that tells me is that you're not really being involved in the community. You're not like taking part in things like Indietober or getting on conversational podcasts and just talking and engaging. Instead, a lot of people will just wait until they launch a campaign, and then that's when they're just posting about their campaign. Go back my campaign, go back my campaign. And then they just disappear into the shadows for the next couple months until it's time for the next campaign. And you're not going to get a lot.
And it goes. No, and it goes with the conversation I had with a creative. Matt and I are talking about offline that approached me because they're aware of our show. They're aware of who I am. And in their mind, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, but let me preface this. In their mind, they believe they're entitled to at least $10,000 if they do a Kickstarter. And I'm like, that's a little, I don't know what you're thinking, but I mean, that's a little arrogant. And he's like, well, I'm just as good as, all these other people. And he starts naming off creatives. I mean, talented people. And I'm not saying his art is bad. He's good. I mean, he's probably an early Ron Lim before Marvel started like overusing him in the 90s, like his Silver Surfer days. He's in that stream. But in his mind, he is entitled to $10,000. And I was like, no, I don't want to break your dreams. And I'm sure your idea is great. But when you don't hit $10,000 because you're entitled to it, then I don't want you to be sad and put off because you didn't hit it. let's be realistic. If you do it, great.
Right.
And then
Right.
he started arguing with me, you know, and I go back to my usual crutch phrase of, you may think you're Bruce Willis, but that doesn't mean you get Bruce Willis money. You have to put in the time. You have to do all of these things. And of the local artists over the last, let's say 5-7 years that I have seen actually put in the time, put in the effort and succeed, Jorge Corona is an absolute beast in art, and he does some amazing stuff. He's just finished up an amazing run on Transformers. He, you know, not east of west, but Middle West. I mean, he's done some great stories, but he put in the time, the energy, and you got to pay your dues. I'm sorry, that's just a thing. You got to put in your dues. So then I came back after him because he's still being combative, and this is a question I threw at Matt, and this is what we want to research. If you're great, if your idea is so great, why aren't you pitching it? Why don't you go to Dark Horse or Image, which I know will take open, unsolicited artwork and ideas. Dark Horse maybe 50-50, but Image is open to it. That will take unsolicited ideas and campaigns and maybe run with it. This is, if you're that good, put your money where your mouth is. Let me see it. Go do this. So my question, Matt, since you are a teacher and you put in the time and you have all of these things, you've even submitted stuff of your own. How many students or people that submit get through, or what is like a submission process like? Because it's a lot when you're dealing with a Kickstarter and then actually crossing over. If you want to, you know, they're two different animals, but at the end, what is the goal? But what is submission like? Just saying.
Well, I can't answer the question to like how many people get through when it makes it to a submission. But what I can tell you is my experiences with submitting to publishers. And that is that if you're going to submit a book, a couple of things that they're looking for, like the idea of the book and the story and the artwork are just the getting your foot in the door. That's just getting them to pay attention. A lot like when you're on a campaign, that's what gets people's attention. But when a publisher looks at this and says, okay, you got a 10-issue series and you're showing me the idea, but you don't actually have it done yet, right? That's already going to be a little worrisome. So they're like, what's your track record for completing books? Like, there's no way a publisher like Image or anybody else is going to take on a project if they don't trust that you're going to deliver. Otherwise, they're going to look bad. And so either A, you need to come to them with everything already done and be like, all right, here's my book series. Will you publish it? Or B, you've published books in the past in some fashion, and you can prove that you have the ability to get it done. Because that's a red flag. So then the other thing that's going to help and benefit, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of creators start on Kickstarter, is that and this goes for pitching to a comic publisher, as well as pitching to something like a Netflix or something like that, is that if you are coming to them with an idea versus the next person next to you is coming to them with an idea plus 5,000 backers, or a track record of backers, the one with the backers and support is obviously going to get more interest because you're bringing them an automatic audience, right? And so if you're coming into their blind, you're like, here's my idea for a book, your chances are low. If you're coming in there with, some support, then your chances are increasing. Doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it, but you're increasing. And so it's best to kind of test the waters a little bit, get it out there and say, well, what are people thinking about this? And Kickstarter or any crowdfunding for comics is a good place to start that. Can you just go in there blind with a comic and pitch it? Sure, it's happened, but it's not as likely. They're looking for a guaranteed return on their investment.
The ROI, the money always comes into it sooner or later.
Yeah, and Then the other thing that I've learned, and this is one that I learned from pitching to television creators, and I didn't think about this when I was making Mythica, is that like when you're pitching something for a show, like that's what I wanted Mythica to be from the beginning. Well, actually, I wanted it to be movies. When they look at it, they're like, okay, great. You got a story. It's cool. You got some support on, crowdfunding, and you got a fan base. That's also good. But we're still not taking this book because it will cost a fortune to make your world, right? And I'm running into that with Mythica because when you look at my story, you've got it taking place in World War One, which means costuming, backdrops, set design, whether it's CG or practical. And then you've also got, monsters and demons. And so you've got more special effects. That's a bigger investment for them. So they got to take all that in. And so when you're talking about, pitching comics, that's why when you look at the comics that are look at the comics that end up on Netflix, especially as shows and stuff. Either A, they had a massive following and it was a guarantee, like Walking Dead, things like that, and they were willing to make that investment, or B, they're more about drama and about character relationships, and there's not as much budget needed. And so that's something to keep in mind. If you're making a book that's for, your intention is to turn into a show, think about the budget, because that was my very first turn down when it came to pitching. Is they're like, hey, this is cool, but this is going to be expensive as hell. So I was like, oh
Yep.
yeah, I didn't think of that.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So
yeah, there's
just one of the adventures. Yeah, there's a lot. Too much.
Yep. So yeah, there's a lot to consider, but but comics are definitely a place where they're looking for those stories. So, and the other thing that's great again about crowdfunding is that you've got data that can show, how many people are interested, how many sales you're making. Now, if you pitch it to this is the advantage here to bring this back full circle to your question. Why go to a publisher, right? And the answer to that is numbers, right? If you pitch it to and you get it picked up by a publisher that's going to distribute it to the comic book shops, you're not looking to make money. You're going to get, like, if you're lucky, like a nickel or 10 cents a book, because especially in the Diamond days, they knew how to rake everyone over the coals so that you didn't have much left. That might be improving now with some of these other publishers, but I doubt it's going to be much. What you're really looking for is the numbers. If I'm a Kickstarter or crowdfund only creator, I'm only reaching out to 100, 200, 300, 500 people at a time every time I launch a book, right? Whereas if I get it into a publisher and they get it into stores, you're talking 1,500 to a couple thousand, and going, distributing nationally. Then suddenly you've got some much bigger numbers to boast about for somebody like Netflix or something like that. And so you get recognizability when you go to a convention in like Philadelphia, it's far away from you, or some other place that's far away. People are like, oh yeah, I saw your book in my local comic shop. There's that familiarity. And then there is the numbers. And so that's what you're paying for. That's what you're investing in when you give it, and you give a publisher some of that money, and they're taking that cut. That's what you're really paying for, is expansion and getting more eyeballs on it. It's not about, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money because I'm getting a lot of books out there. If anyone's published books, they'll tell you this. You're not really making a lot from those people. If anyone's out there in the chat hears this, let me hear it, Let's see. Mythica should probably work as an animated show. Oh man. I'd love
absolutely.
that. I would have that. In fact, I went to school for animation along with Dead Cosmos, and we did sort of a couple of mock-up animations in school, and I wanted it to be an animation from the beginning, but an animation is a lot harder to keep producing on an independent status. You got to have a whole team, and there's lots of drawing involved. So we're like, well, hey, I can make a comic in the meantime and kind of like set up shots and things like that. But yeah, I think it would be awesome.
If I'm not voicing one of your characters, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to come to your house and beat you with a diamond box.
All right, guys. Who would Smurf be voicing? Can you imagine Smurf voicing heavily Scottish Magnus McCracken?
Oh, work on me Scottish.
You better work on
I
that.
come and I have some haggis afterwards. I put me boot in your ass.
I don't know what that was. That was a combination of Irish Lucky
The
Charms.
the British comes through and the Irish, and it just gets all muddled in between. Between here and here, fuck, who knows? Fuck all. I don't know.
Good times. Good times.
Ah.
All right. Well, let's get what we came here for. We're going to get into the Wheel of Destiny. But before we kick off the show today, I do want to take a moment to remember someone who gave a lot to this community, Mr. Rob Anderson. Some of you guys have heard Mr. Anderson is no longer with us. Don't know what happened, so don't ask me. But I was very saddened to hear this news. He was an advocate for indie comics. Every time I saw him on TikTok or any other thing, he was pushing the comic community. And we will miss him. And we're grateful for his impact. And we send our thoughts and prayers to his family and his friends and all the other people that he has inspired. So we'll miss you, Rob. R.I.P. Rob. With that, though, let's continue to work on making indie comics and continue his legacy. So let's get over and see who we've got on the Wheel of Destiny.
Before we do that, I see Sean, well done, quoting Mrs. Doubtfire. And you're kidding. I don't have a tan, all right? Let's be honest. I'm clear, okay? Let's be perfectly honest. I am clear. I don't have a tan.
All right, this week's lineup for the Wheel of Destiny. We've got Luke, Bloody Tooth, issue 2. Faint, issue 2. The Monster Hunter called Claymore, speaking of Scottish. Let's Hunt Monsters, issue 4. Book of Riot, number 1. Mercer, issue 3. Mercer's been on this show before. Fisticuffs. Travis's book called Reroll, issue 1. Excited to see what that's all about. Seasons, volume 1 and 2. Ballad of the Black Rose, book called Starcore. It's not hardcore, it's Starcore. And lastly, a book called The Power Broker. So that's our lineup for the week. Are we ready to spin that wheel? Yes, all right.
Go! There can be only one Highlander type situation. What? Behold, my wheel of destiny!
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Time to spin the wheel.
Time to spin the wheel. All right. There's been some delay there. That I clicked that like 2 minutes ago and it took forever to play. All right. Good. What's going on there? All right. Let's do it. Our first spin of the day is gonna be, looks like, right on the edge, Faint, number 2 by Mr. Rob Rodriguez. All right, congratulations. We'll take that off the list. Jump over here to Kickstarter and pull that up. And there it is. We have it. Let's see if it'll jump over there. Yes, we got it. All right, let's take a look here. Faint, number 1 and 2. Body of Jesus, Bodies of 10. That's our title. All right, so what do you guys think about that title right off the bat? What kind of vibe does it give you?
Well, definitely like,
You there?
wrath of God type of, situation. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, seas boiling
Mhm.
over. I mean, biblical proportions.
Okay.
So,
So
I mean, so are we going to see angels, saints, sinners, demons,
maybe all the above. I
all
don't
of it,
know. I don't know.
all
So
of the above?
my question for you guys is there's a lot of people watching right now in the room. So my question is, when you hear that title, Body of Jesus, Bodies of 10, is there any part of you that, like, if you're not a religious person, goes, oh, if this sounds like it might be a religious thing, I'm backing off? Or does it sound like what Smurf said? We're gonna have a battle royale between angels and demons, right? Which one what's your reaction to that? What do you think? Right? Think about that. Post in the comments while we're talking about it. And I'll move on to the title here. So the title says an atheist and his unfortunate friend find themselves on the receiving end of horrors of humanity only a demonic being can overcome.
Okay.
What do you get from that, Smurf? I'll read that again. An atheist and his unfortunate friend. Is he unfortunate because he's a friend?
Is he unfortunate because of his choice of friends? Yes. Or does this guy just have bad shit happen to him? I mean, it's an interesting kind of phrasing, but okay.
They find themselves on the receiving end of horrors of humanity only a demonic being can overcome.
I mean, okay, that's some. So if are the horrors because of the demonic being? I mean, because what kind of horrors? And if you're in that kind of horror, atheist or not, there's no atheists in foxholes. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
there's I don't. It's weird, and an atheist I don't think would immediately go to a demon. I think that they would
maybe
question
maybe
his existence.
Who knows? Yeah.
Mr. I don't know.
Mr. Fish says it feels like an Exorcist style horror movie. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in every almost in every story about some terrible demons or angels or something coming down, it's almost normal to have the one person who doesn't believe, who suddenly is like, well, maybe I do believe, because they're seeing it happen in front of them. So I think that might be the angle there, right?
Well, and these kind of stories, and it's always weird, and to even go on Fish's comment about like a horror movie, it's always weird that the holy side is quiet while the demons and all the other stuff run rampant, and it's left to a mortal to either come to terms with what they're seeing and they step forward, or they get whacked. I mean, Judgment Day, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, he died in a movie. I was just like, I think that was his first film he died in. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in what he's saying, but he's fighting demons and he ends up getting whacked in the end. And I was just like, that's exactly what I think. It falls to, the unlikely hero, the reluctant hero. So I can see where
maybe
Fish is going.
Maybe this story will put an interesting twist. Maybe we'll see something different with this one.
Maybe.
All right. Maybe. All right. This says that there's a goal of $700. They've currently raised $217 with 13 backers. So ultimately, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, guys, if you are early on in your indie comic creator, development, your goal should be focused on getting backers, trying to get more backers, trying to get out there and be involved in the conversations in the community. And so that could mean bringing your prices down a little bit. so that you can get those backers. It could be that you just have to be out there more, but we want to get as many eyeballs on your story as possible. Build up that email list so that as you get better, because our first stories, our first books are generally not our best books anyway. And then you can bring all those people back, right? All right. So let's see what we get from this video. I'm going to put the comment section on the screen as well for those of you who want to comment on it. Let's do it.
Is that a head?
I think so.
Is this Armageddon?
You can have names for it if you like.
Your ignorance or inability to appreciate your pleasures has angered the old father. He now seeks out your destruction. Who are you?
I am known as Midian.
Why are you helping us?
It seems the old father has given me the element of choice. And I choose to disobey.
Epic. All right, there it is. What did you think, Mr. Smurf?
I can appreciate the animation. It's kind of cool, anime style, and it looked like the crow kind of thrown in there. And the audio is way too low for that dialogue, especially when your music bed is overpowering your dialogue, which is not what you want in a clip or any kind of video, unless it's specifically sending a message. So I would definitely adjust your levels on that, because it was again, it was muddled like my tan. So I was, it was really hard focusing on what was being said, but being able to hear kind of what was going on, you get the feel. It's an intense scene, and gruesome, and very, very visceral. I like it.
Yeah.
But I didn't get enough out of it to really know, okay, so he's on a mission. I got that. A mission from God, and then he turns and decides to go bad. And I don't know who the atheist is and how he works into it. Evidently, there's a thing for eyeballs in this world, and it's post-apocalyptic. I mean, it looked rather kind of yeesh, just kind of as far as what the world was like. So, I mean,
right.
Good art. I mean, I like the color palettes and all of that. It's very dark and red and all that. Yeah, definitely questions.
Mr. Fish agrees it was a little hard to hear. He also said it made him flinch, which it could be what you're going for. So another thing that really is something that's important when it comes to marketing your book is that and I've tried to explain this to my students when they make a product. They just make something like they'll make a T-shirt design, and they're like, I'm going to sell these T-shirts, and I'm like, to who? Like, and they're like, to everybody, and like, well, when you go into, and this is a way to think about it, like when you go into a department store or Walmart or something like that, there are areas. There's the men's section and the women's section and the children's section, right? And it's set up like that so that you can go find what you're looking for, right? When you go into the bookstore, there's different areas and categories, right? So when you're marketing something, it really, really helps to know who you're marketing to and to target that audience so that if you're marketing to everybody, you're spending a lot of time and energy trying to like reach everybody when only these people are going to be the ones that are interested in it. And this one is obviously interested or going to be intrigued by people who are into violence, right? And there's an audience for that. There's
Gruesome
definitely
violence.
an audience for violence, right? Basically, anybody that enjoys, the Punisher books are going to enjoy that, right? And so once you realize who your audience is, then you go out and you try to find where that audience is at. What groups are they in? That kind of stuff.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with cultivating your audience and cultivating who this is for. Because I mean, that's another conversation that we've had in the past of you do a con and you're trying to appeal to everybody. There is nothing wrong with going to a con and targeting specific people that would be at that con. I mean, if you go to a fan expo, all fans, shapes, sizes, ages, interests, all of them convene there. Pitching it specifically to that group, there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely what you should be doing, to be honest with you.
Looks like the creator's with us, and he says,
yep.
I showed it to someone at work, and they said, I've seen enough before the video even finished. The visual violence is not for everyone. But it does make it clear the tone of the book, what we're getting, right? So I think in that aspect, it's doing a good job. But and another thing that's good about that is that like no one's going to like get this book and get through the first couple of pages and go, oh, this is not what I expected, and be upset, right? If they are going to buy this
where's
book,
my pretty pony?
Right? If they're going to buy this book after watching that video, they definitely know what they're in for. We'll give them that for sure. All right, let's go down into the story section and see how it describes, what we got going on here. All right, it says, my favorite opening line, in a world abandoned by its creator, angels viciously hunt mankind, demons are our only hope. There you go. There's your reversal, my friends. It's angels are viciously hunting mankind. Demons are our only hope.
Okay.
That's our one sentence opener.
Yep, there's a little prophecy going on there. It's fine. Christopher Walken will make a guest appearance. It'll be fine. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. I was about to drum up my Christopher Walken impression, and then I decided I'm going to butcher it, so I stopped. All right.
Your son.
All right. Ohama's search for his mother was supposed to bring answers. Instead, it brings him face to face with a group that specializes in cruelty. With his friend's soul hanging in the balance, Ohama must decide whether to keep running from faith or embrace the power that might save them all. A faithless man must survive a world decorated with divine evidence. Just yesterday, he watched as the world unraveled. His best friend, possessed, sought the blood that flowed within his father's veins and then disappeared. People are killing each other for no reason. Families are tearing themselves apart. And somewhere in all this chaos, his mother is missing. Beside him is a young man whose disgust of the world grows darker by the hour. A man who just watched his little sister torn apart before his eyes. Can he cling to what's left of his sanity? If you love psychological horror, survival stories, gore, and manga-style intensity, this is your next obsession. All right. What do you think?
I mean,
so
it's
far?
a solid pitch. It's a solid pitch, but I think there's a contradiction between the atheists that they're selling on, but the guy that sees everything that happens in front of him. So I think it would be more of a man questioning faith versus an atheist, because an atheist, by definition, doesn't believe in any established religion, right?
Or God, I think. I don't know, just a God.
Yeah, because an atheist doesn't believe in any established religion or faith therein. So this almost is like he's questioning faith, not questioning his faith if they're coming down, because it's obviously happening right in front of him. His mother's lost to the demons somewhere, so there's, I don't know. Maybe it's just hanging up on specific words I shouldn't be, but I think it's more.
Well, I think so, because I think the idea here.
Atheist.
Remember, this is. I think the idea here. Remember, this is issue 2. I think the idea here is that he was an atheist, and now he's seeing things. Now I've seen things. No, maybe not so much. No, it's gonna stay that way.
I've seen things. Shit, that'll make you turn white.
So I think more potently, I guess, would be that when you're describing a character, if you're going to use one particular term to describe them, that kind of becomes their defining trait. And therefore, you think that's what this story is going to be about, which is what you're alluding to. If you say this is an atheist who's seeing all this stuff, we're going to come to the conclusion that this story is about, whether or not you believe in those things, right? So Mr. Fish says, the man searching for his mother might be stronger. The complex name threw me for a second, right? So, a hopeless man, etc., is kind of what I'm, alluding to. So when it comes to, I love the idea that we're describing this person with a trait rather than just saying Uhama, because that means nothing to us, right?
Nothing to us.
Putting something on them with the atheist, but you have to choose the one that's going to be at the core of the story, right? Is the core of the story about, a person who discovers faith or is battling with their faith or whatever, or is the story more about finding their mother? What's really at the core of the story?
The narrative?
Use something about that to describe them. But I think it's definitely dark and violent. I mean, look at this animation they got going on here. Right. And
when I saw this in the clip up above, oh my god! I think that was the second time I laughed out loud because it's awesome.
So again, the other thing you have to keep in mind is that when, like, for instance, whenever you talk about any story that's just purely violence, like Punisher. Is there an audience for that? Yes. But out of the whole pie of things that people go see entertainment for, the sliver that just want to see violence and nothing else creates a very small sliver. That's why Punisher, until it got into the television show where they actually gave him characterization and story and personalization, all the movies didn't do well. Because there's not enough of an audience that goes, oh yeah, I want to go see a bunch of murder and stuff, right? There's the horror crowd that will go and back that, but at the same time, there's more to it. And you're more of a horror buff, so what do you think it is about the horror crowd that says, I want to go see this? Is it just because you want to see violence? Is that's what's driving you?
I mean, it's possible, and I think the horror genre is so wide because there's so many that you got, like slasher, you got thriller, you've got demonic, possessions, you've got the occult, there's so many different fields, and I think the horror genre is more encompassing, and it's focusing more on it being of a horror style versus the mass slaughter of innocent people and all of that. There's a horror story out there. I know some horror people that wouldn't go in for this simply because it's too over the top and too gruesome. That they're in for it for like monsters and creatures and things like that. This may be too much for some horror fans because that's not what their pie of, like, to your point, their pie of horror is over here with the special effects and the story and how it affects people.
Right.
So I agree. I would focus more on him going after his mother and all of the chaos that ensues and the trail of bodies behind him. I mean, that's kind of, I would mix it up a little bit. I would get away from some of the other explanations and do something along that line. But
that's kind of why I'm asking you, because you have a lot more knowledge in the horror genre, and this is definitely what I would consider a horror book. And so
Yes.
our focus is how do we market and pitch a horror book to get to that horror audience, and how can we go out there and get that audience? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would rephrase the whole thing. In a world of monsters and demons and questions of fate, a man tries to find his mother. I mean, I would keep it that simple, and it gives you everything you need. You don't have to have names or anything else like that. Just tighten it up a little bit so that you can get more of that horror, and then let the video speak for itself. But I would change the hook and focus more on setting the tone of what they're about to watch. I would leave it open enough that they can go, oh, okay, oh my, you know, and either they're like cheering at the end or laughing like me, or they're like, next.
right. Okay, I've had enough. I'm backing away. Yeah, I do think maybe something at the beginning that be like, hey, this is going to be a horror book, and this is what the story is about. Hang on tight. This trailer's intense. Here we go. You know?
Yeah.
Because people may not be expecting that, right? All
well,
right.
I mean, yeah, like I said at the beginning, is that a head? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm the only one during the trailers for like 424 when the baby carriage is on fire and the guy's chasing it. I'm the only one laughing in the theater because I think that's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Fish.
Yeah.
The graphic images are selling for that audience. It makes it clear what you're getting. And so I definitely think that this is a horror book. We're using horror fonts. And so just leaning heavily in on that. And then the other thing is, if we're establishing this as a horror book, like, let's get into the horror groups, right? Smurf, again, you have you're part of a show, created a show that is nothing but a horror convention. Are you also part of groups on Facebook that are just horror themed?
I'm in at least 5. That is actually me. I've got another profile that I use sometimes just so I can get honest reaction and feedback from individuals or just kind of stock. But yeah, I'm in at least 5 different horror groups to just kind of see where everyone's feeling, kind of, you know, what's the latest and greatest. And in fact, my podcast next week is going to be horror focused, as IPs are coming out to, you know, the general populace, and all of our childhood cartoons are being bastardized into horror. And it is intense what's going on out there. But yeah, to be in those horror groups is beneficial, especially to a book like this. I think there'd be a lot of people in those groups that would jump on this. So I think the marketing could get a good kick.
Yeah, real quick, because we're going over on the time on this first. We're still on our first one. Number one, if this was me, I would definitely get involved in those horror groups and then go, hey guys, I'm working on this horror comic. Go check it out. I did that with Mythica in the Scottish groups in the you know, and it did really well because there was no competition. There wasn't anybody in there going, oh, I also have a comic, right? And I reached out to a lot of people. Secondly, let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of these tiers before we go. We've got a $4 digital. It is a 32-page book. I love that. That's a great price. We got a digital catch-up tier, which is $8. You get both books. And then we got the physical cover for $10, variant cover for $13, a bundle that's digital that includes Faint number 1, Faint number 2, the other book, White Owl number 1 and White Owl 2 and 3. So 5 books altogether for $15. That's a great deal. A physical catch-up tier for $18. And these also do come with some stickers and a poster. Variant cover, and then we got a physical bundle for $40. It includes some of those other books and posters as well. A $60 bundle that includes a keychain, the other books, White Owl posters, lots of cool stuff for $60, and digital stuff as well. And then all the way down here at the bottom, I'm going to go to the big one. Looks like this one is $300. The demonic or the angelic possession bundle commission your own poster from our artist. It must include 2 faint characters and then your own idea. I would honestly, I think that's going to limit you if you say you can only draw these characters, because if they like your work enough to pay you, let them choose what they want. Right?
Yeah, and you're also taking for granted that some people all know who your characters are. I mean, again, I'd commission you to do something of a horror-esque, maybe inspired by Faint with characters I would choose, but I would rework that because I think you're missing a huge opportunity right there, because not everyone's familiar with your work, and that's focusing primarily on existing fans versus trying to bring more people in.
All right. So yeah, I think that's a great deal. All this other stuff that you get with it's great. Basically all the books, all the digital stuff, all the stuff we just talked about, except you get this commission. I think you might have a better chance of getting that commission if you say you can draw whatever you want.
Yep.
All right.
I agree.
All right. We got to get back to the wheel. And speaking of, we have a late entry. I forgot to enter someone very important, and so we still got two spins left. I just added Gerald von Stauder's book. I can't believe I forgot it. Why is this one not? Oh, I need to hit the share button. That's why.
Asleep at the wheel. I see how you are.
Oh yeah, he says I'm asleep at the wheel as he sits there and doesn't have to push any buttons. Shush your face. Let's see. Here we go. So we've added Love and Death. This book looks amazing. I hope it makes it on the wheel, and I apologize, Gerald, for forgetting it the first time through, but it's on there now. Let's find out who the second spin of the day is going to be. Oh, so close to Luke Bloody Tooth. All right, Monster Hunter called Claymore is our second choice. All right, Gerald, that means you got one more chance still, as well as you, Todd. All right, going back up to Kickstarter over here. Let me open this one up. There it is, Monster Hunter called Claymore. Hit share this tab, and we're good to go.
Oh, wow.
There it goes. All right, Monster Hunter called Claymore.
Who's doing the art on this? This looks familiar.
Let's see. Well, I think we're going to find out. I'm not 100% sure just yet. I know I've seen this on a couple other shows. All right, so let me turn that off for a second so Smurf's face isn't all covered up. All right, Monster Hunter called Claymore, mature audience Western. All right, I feel like Westerns are hit and miss with me. I'm not a huge fan of Westerns, but every once in a while, the premise will be like, all right, I'm in, right? I feel like people forget that there's a ton of different things you can do in that setting. Like, man, I what's that Quentin Tarantino one where they're all like locked in the cabin?
Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that one was like, I loved that story. It was such a good story, and I'm not a huge fan of Westerns, but I was like, this is awesome.
It was a perfect setting for that story.
Yep. Okay, so here we go. In 1872, a monster hunter with a giant claymore sword, foul-mouthed fairy, and a stone golem ally battle beasts in the Wild West. All right. This seems like a very similar premise to Mythica, only in the Wild West instead of War One. A guy with a big sword and some people helping him are going to go fight beasts. I like it. All right. We've got a goal of $3,500. They're at 2014. with 89 backers. Mr. Fish says, sold. He likes it already. All right. Real quick in the chat, what was it that sold you? All right, let's find out. Now this doesn't have video, so there's no video to watch. Sadness and woe. That doesn't mean it can't do well. Just another thing that can help, right? I love seeing this, guys. Let me see. Yeah, you can still see it on the screen. Charlie McElvey this is his 16th Kickstarter created. Look at this. 1,059 backed.
Wow. Holy crap.
Right? It's almost as much as Travis Gibb, who's somewhere around in the 1400s.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Gerald's here. He says Charlie rocks. And this is why I love the comic community, because as much as I am involved and try to be involved, every single week I end up meeting new people. Yep. Some people are brand new to the community. Some people have been here a while and I still haven't met them. You travel to some other city and there's just a whole bunch more new people. It's actually, even though it seems like a small community, there's still, tens of thousands.
Dude, that's why when I went to New York Comic Con, that whole artist area was its own convention center. I mean, just the amount of creatives in there was inspiring. And like you said, there's some that I knew, some that I'm familiar with, others that I'm like, where the hell did you come from?
That's how I know this guy. Mr. Fish just reminded me. Charlie's an actual Ninja Warrior, like from the American Ninja Warrior thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right.
Okay, let's see what the story section tells us. Already, we're intrigued. Mr. Fish did answer my question. He says, sweet spot, hunting monsters with a crazy sidekick, just like Alice. Yep. It's a pretty good formula. It seems to be working for Mythica anyway. Mm-hmm. All right. A monster hunter called Claymore. I really want to meet Charlie and talk to him about how we have such similar stories going on. The world is full of monsters, both real and imaginary. What is this book about? I love how he's getting right to it. 1872, the American West, the land of dust, blood, and secrets. Into this landscape rides Robert Ballock, a Scotsman known only by the name whispered in fear and reverence, Claymore. Man, this thing is getting more and more similarities by the second.
Just tipping that toe in there. Wow.
Yep. A man who hunts monsters not for glory, but for balance. His sword, a massive Scottish claymore. His curse, to see the truth of the world only when blindfolded. His companion, a foul-mouthed fairy from the Isle of Skye named Skye. Together, they wander from town to town, answering the call of those desperate enough to believe in legends. In a small, quiet town of tranquility, something howls beneath the moon. The story. When a mysterious letter summons Claymore to tranquility, he expects another hunt. What he finds is a town divided by fear and a woman from his past, Hannah, whose secret might be as dangerous as the werewolf that stalks their fields. As Claymore unravels the mystery, the line between monster and man begins to blur. What happens when the hunter learns that not every creature deserves the blade? And what happens when he's the one being hunted? This Monster Western is about faith, forgiveness, and the fight for your own humanity. Very cool. We got some cool looking cover art. I like the coloring there. And then we have this one with like this Medusa looking character in the back. He's wearing a blindfold. Then this one here. Some cool looking covers here. A photographic cover. Look at that.
Nice. That's pretty.
Look at the way that's cropped. That's a very unique crop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we get into... let's get into the previews here real quick. We got him standing there. We can see that's very clean artwork. Mine is a lot scratchier and full of little hatching and cross-hatching.
Yeah, but your book also happens at night most of the time. So yours should be relying more on shadows and darkness and all of that. So this is the middle of the West. There isn't a freaking tree for 100 miles. Are you kidding me? There shouldn't be a shadow.
Right. All right, guys. I gotta say I'm a little biased. I'm already into this book because it's got a Scottish hero and all that stuff. But hear me out. How awesome would it be for Charlie and I to have a conversation and do like a crossover cover piece of artwork that you can get on his campaign or my campaign? We got Claymore, we got Magnus standing back to back with their swords. How cool would that be?
That'd be badass.
And honestly,
actually, with the time period, you guys would be, because if it's the West and it's 18, what do you say?
72.
You're about the turn of the century, so you're about to come into World War I. So
Yeah.
chronologically, you guys could almost literally overlap. Just saying.
Just about, yeah.
Just saying.
Well, and you know, our primary villain in Mythica, the demon Belthane Bathory, he's been around for like 500 years, and so he could have easily been doing this. The only difference here so far is that my story is currently taking place in Scotland, but I like this. I like this a lot. All right, let's take a look over here at the rewards, and let's see. That's a featured one. I'll come back to that. We got the Claymore digital version of this book for $7. Real quick, I'm going to scroll down to the main section here and see if it mentions how many pages this book is. Our last book said clearly that it was 32 pages. Why you love it. I'm really loving the organization of this campaign. There we go. This funds issue 1, a 28-page full-color comic. There we go. So you're getting 28 pages for $7. 20 people have already jumped on that. The Claymore Deluxe Edition. Let's see what comes with this. Unadulterated includes digital extras, full cover gallery, original script, plus 5 additional digital indie comics. This is again that cross promotion. If you are an indie creator and you know someone that's in the same genre as you, as we were just discussing it, this is a great opportunity to say, hey, you know, include my book in your campaign. I'll include your book in my campaign. It's a great way to get your audience expanded and get growing. So, you know, to the last campaign, Fate, if you know other people that are making horror comics, especially if they're live right now, reach out to them. Say, hey, do you want to cross promote?
Yep.
All right. Going down here, we got cover A, $12. That's a good deal. And it looks like it comes with the digital edition as well, which makes it a really good deal.
It's a great deal.
Cover C is $15. The other covers are $15. We got the Scott Fogg Digital Library. I don't know what that means. All the digital comics library to date. So includes Claymore, Night Care, Phileas Reed, and others. So that's new to me, so I'm not familiar with that yet. And all the Claymore covers for $45. A 1-hour Zoom with creator Scott Fogg. Interesting.
Okay. I like a 1 hour with him. That'd be fun. Well,
yeah. So for $50, a 1-hour thing, another $50 is a retailer tier, which gets several books. Looks like they got a couple of those. And then it stops. I'm not really seeing like a big whale tier here. Looks like they're pushing this $15 Claymore cover B right now. That's the one that's featured. But I don't see a like a big, you know, multi-$100 tier. And so that might be something to consider. Again, we mentioned that on the show before. No one might back it, but they're not gonna if you don't ask for it, right?
I would think this would actually benefit a sketch cover, a limit of 5 sketch covers focused on one of the monsters or characters, something simple. The artwork is very clean. It has a very Tony Dodson kind of feel to it. And I think this is a great premise, and the story is awesome. So I would be offering up sketch covers for, a couple $100, and it wouldn't be much to just do it. You've got everything else established. You throw in a digital cover or digital comic, and that's going to write its own check right there. I'll guarantee it.
Yep. So yeah, I think having like you said, having a big whale tier, especially when anything that involves original custom art. It could be pages of the book, like interior original pages. It could be original art for the cover. I've said this before. My whale tier for my last campaign was the original art for the cover in one of these glassless frames that I usually have over here, and then all the books, and it was like $700 or $800 for the whole thing, and someone almost always gets it, right? They want that cover art, and so it's a good way to like suddenly get you into that goal range quickly. So I think honestly I think that's the only thing, that not having a video, the only two things that we didn't have. The story and the premise automatically have a strong hook. I had a little bit of bias because immediately they said it was a Scotsman with a claymore, but even if you take that out, it's a pretty straightforward premise. And the only thing I think that the video would help me with is sort of the tone. Is it more adventurous? Is it darker? Is it funny? Like, what's the tone going to be like? And I think a video could help set that tone a little bit. But other than that, the middle section here is really nicely presented. It's very clear. Very first thing says, what is this book about? Gets right into it. Then we have the story. The story is very clear and easy to understand. We don't need a lot of details about who and some elaborate world that's been expanded. The more you do that and create this elaborate premise and world building, the more difficult it can be to focus on the pitch,
Yep.
So I like how he kept it simple here. All right. Great job here. Not a lot to say. And 90 backers is a good number, but that means that, let me do some quick math.
22.
Here.
$22 per $22 average. Yep.
So that means
per
you need
backer.
3,500 minus 2021 equals 14, and we divide that by $22. That means he needs an average. Again, I'm focused on backers. That means you need an average of 67 more backers, right? Now, this person is well known. He's been in the community, so it's definitely doable. But that should be your focus before you ever launch. Not the number that you need to raise of dollars. It's how many people do I need to get to back based on the averages. If you're launching your first book and you don't know what your average is, then base it on $25, because that's the average across the board for comics. That's kind of the average backing number. And so then after that, after your first couple campaigns, you can go back and you can do your own averages. But that'll tell you, well, I need to have 60 backers if I want to get $3,000 or whatever, I like this book. I think he already gained a backer through Mr. Fish while we were watching the show. So I'd love to see that.
It did kick up.
Yeah. All right, man. Sam is really interested in being part of the show today. All right.
Oh, he just wants some loving.
I know. He's like, you've been gone. Give me some attention. And to add to that, Mr. Fish says, if I remember, Charlie's part of the comic launch masterclass, which is a great class. If you have the money for it, it's a little pricey, but they do have a lot of great advice.
There's some input in there.
All right, let's go to our last spin of the wheel. Is it going to be Gerald, is it gonna be Todd? Who's it gonna be? Let's find out. Last spin of the day. Who's it gonna be, Sam? Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Oh my goodness, it was right on the edge. I thought Todd had it today. Our last one is Let's Hunt Monsters. Come on, get back. All right. That was a close one. I really thought Luke Bloody Tooth was going for it today.
I thought you were purposely
right.
putting an accent on it, and then I actually read it, and it does say Monsters.
Yes, it does. I'm saying it how it's read, man.
I'm like, when did you get a New York accent?
All right, we got this pulled up. Let's take a look. Let's see. Oops, I'm on the wrong tab. There we go. There we go. Monsters. All right, let's hunt monsters for the series. Actually, it's saying I'm going to lose audio if I stick with this tab, so I need to refresh it. Hold on. I need to stop sharing for a second and then reshare because it's being picky. There we go. There we go. All right. The tagline says, Let's Hunt Monsters, number 4, continues the adventure of Mr. Button, the teddy bear, monster hunter for hire, lost in the realm of the forgotten.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing!
Mr. Hunter, the teddy bear, monster hunter. Oh man, we might have a tough decision on our hands this week. We got some intrigued right away, right? All right. They have a goal of only a modest $500, which they've already hit. They're at 712 with 24 backers.
$29.
$29. I'd be faster if my cat wasn't laying on my hand.
Average backers, $29. $29. Almost $30. They're close. They're in the halfway point. If you're calculating.
Now again, here's what I'd like to see. This person has created 28 campaigns. I feel like if you've created 28 campaigns, we should be able to get you higher than 20 to 30 backers, right? 20 to 30 backers seems like something that you get when you're just starting out. And so the question is, why? What is it that's not getting the higher backer count, right? Is it that they're not being involved in the community, that kind of thing? And you know how I check this? Like, obviously you can't do this on all platforms, but if I do a search for this person's name in Kickstarter, in Facebook, and I just search by posts, I can go through and see any post that they have posted themselves or that they've been mentioned in. And if all I see are posts about Go Back My Comic or posts about the comic, and they're not being responding to comments or things like that, then that gives me a little bit of a clue that they're not being engaged in the community, at least not there on Facebook. They could be somewhere else. But it just gives me a little bit of an idea of like, hey, maybe you need to be part of the community a bit more, which is, I get it. It's a pain because it's time you got to take to go get involved. But, and then Mr. Fish says this one, my first guess would be doing lots of different stories. Fans of one may not back the other. This is also true. It goes back to that, who's your fan base, right? I'm trying to remember, the analogy for that, but I forgot it. But basically, yeah, like if you have a publishing company or a publishing title, it doesn't benefit you to just say, well, we have all kinds of books. We got children's books. We got horror books, right? Because then your fan base is all over the place. You want to stick with a genre of books that everybody's kind of in with. So that's another thing, going all the way back to the beginning of the show when you asked me the question about pitching. Are you pitching to the right company? Pitching a horror book where people's eyeballs are popping out of each other may not fly with the company you're pitching to, and right away they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh no. Scholastic would frown on that, I really think. And key books. I mean, they'd be like, oh, that's a little gruesome for us there, don't you know? Hey, oh no, go away.
he's practicing his accent still.
I am. That's just today is first practice day.
I
got a voiceover due next week.
Go watch all the Outlander series and practice what they're saying, and maybe you'll get some good practice in there. All right, they got 10 days to go to get some more numbers. They've already hit goal, but $712 is only buying a few books, so maybe we can get them some more. We'd like to. I mean, I already like the premise of a monster hunting teddy bear. I'm really curious, what's going on with that. So let's drop down to this view here. Let's put up the comments for those of you that want to comment, and let's take a look at what this video tells us.
Buddy, this is Nick Davis, the creator of the Night Gunners and Let's Have Monsters, and welcome to the Kickstarter for Let's Have Monsters number 4. Welcome, everybody. This is the penultimate comic book in the current series, and it's Crescendo Part 1. Part 2 will be coming out sometime in January. And you join us as a temperamental teddy bear monster hunter has found himself in very, very familiar territory. After the desperate fight to stop the kidnapping of the kid fails, Mr. Woodland wakes up in a bizarre world with no memory and the brand new wolf protector of a village of quirky bestie buddies. That's right, it's completely changed. It will change here. This Kickstarter campaign is all about bringing Let's Have Monsters to life with its very first pre-run by backing this project. You will be the very first person to basically get their hands on the newest issue before it hits the stores. That's why we're going to try to get it to the stores as well. Join the hunt, please support my comic book, claim your exclusive early copy, and be one of the very first to claim the Early Bird Special as coming control. So come on down, check out the book. I hope you back this project, and I thank you for your time. You'll take care now.
All right. I think Mr. Fish just said it. I think Smurf's about to say it himself. So let's hear it, my friend.
That's so disappointing. Come on. Talk into the mic, not the coffee can. What the flipping hell was that?
I can always rely on you, Smurf, to package it in such a soft way.
Here's a sock full of quarters. Bam! I like the art. I like the premise. Huh? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I do believe that the creator is with us again here in the audience. So I knew it was coming. I could tell right away. There was two things that made this difficult. Number one, as Smurf was saying, you got your music audio up here and your audio down here. So that's problem number one. You gotta switch those. You gotta get you can open up loud with your music, but then you gotta crank it back down. Secondly, I'm going to say this, don't take it personally. It sounded like you just did a line before that you did it, and you were just rattling so fast. I couldn't make out like what you were saying most of the time. You're speaking so fast. Now, I know that there's an accent. You're obviously from somewhere else, and so that maybe you talk faster in general. That's okay, but we got to enunciate on a pitch, right? So that's really hurting the video, is that like we couldn't hear what was going on, and I wanted to know because I'm really curious about this comic. I'm intrigued by the premise, right? But that's why we got Smurf on here. He doesn't hold his punches. He whacks you in the head with a bag of quarters and says, "What the fuck?" Or famous line, "I don't care about you.
I don't care about you." I mean, I almost got worried when he introduced himself at the beginning of the video, and I'm like, "Oh fuck's sake, here we go." But we didn't. He curved it, but then I couldn't hear it. So I got into the visuals. I don't know if those are toys that he's giving away or 3D printed items. I love the design, and I'm sure he probably explained it, but I couldn't fucking understand him because I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, let's address this. He's actually here. He says, "My first time I've ever used my voice in a video. I suck. I know. You don't.
No,
suck,
no.
right? You
No,
gotta.
you don't suck.
I know from experience watching these videos that, or just anything, Americans are naturally intrigued by accents, right? Foreign accents. So you have that as an advantage, right? But you have to slow down and enunciate because of the accents, because of the speed, but also the music volumes. And so all the stuff there was cool. It was just hard to hear, right? And as Mr. Fish said, that is coming across as excited when you talk, which is another great thing. But because of the accent, we gotta slow down and enunciate. And so I wouldn't say stop doing your own audio, because you have all the excitement and you have the intriguing accents. So don't stop, just slow down and enunciate and turn up your audio volume. Right.
So I think I know what he did. I can only guess. So first of all, low and slow. All right. This is a voice performer telling you. Low and slow. All right. You can still enunciate. You can still put inflection into your voice when you're explaining your product and the premise and all of that. And I'm sure your excitement is still going to come through, even if you do a low and slow approach. I would go and get this program, get a pen, get a paper. All y'all listening, if you're thinking about doing recording, it's free. It's called Audacity. You can plug this to a microphone, USB style, and record multiple lines. All right. So what you need to do is record your dialogue on one, then import your music into another track, which will come up underneath your dialogue. And then to the left is a volume slider. You can turn that audio all the way down. You can even go in and add effects so that you have a gain in and a gain out. Go download Audacity. It's free, and it is an amazing tool. I know. Yep. Shameless plug here. Audacity, why the hell aren't you funding us? But that is like the best. And you can do it. And if you're going to do it, just get something to go around you, even if it's just hanging bed sheets or just something to just kind of keep the ambient noise out, because you're echoing off of something. So I don't know where you recorded this. And usually it's irrelevant if you can control, just the ambience of the room and anything else. Just hang a bed sheet or just towels around you. My thing that I tell up and coming podcasters, if you can broadcast or podcast from a closet, like inside a closet, it's natural sound deadening material. It'll make it sound like a studio, even though it is not. So your accent is a plus. I will lose a job to you as a voice actor because you have a natural accent instead of me fumbling around with, me sounding like Scrooge fucking McDuck over here and, Austin Powers. So I get it, but you have a lot of things that are working towards you, and you don't suck. You just don't know, and that's a huge difference. So
Great.
We're not here to deter you.
Great advice, Smurf. Get Audacity. Why aren't they sponsoring us? By the way, after this segment, we got to remember to post about our sponsor.
All right, well, we are our sponsor.
Right. Let's get in, though, to the rest of this campaign and see what it tells us, because we were so focused on the audio not working, though, it didn't get a lot of information yet about what this is, and I am still really intrigued. So let's dive in real quick. Mr. Button is back, and he's grumpier than ever. Wait, is this about Smurf? All right, Let's Hunt Monsters. The series, number 4, continues the misadventures of Mr. Button and the teddy bear, the monster hunter for hire. A teddy bear whose mouth is as foul as his temper. This is about Smurf. In the 4th wild installment of Let's Hunt Monsters, the series our foul-mouthed, temperamental teddy bear monster hunter finds himself in unfamiliar territory. After a desperate fight to stop the kidnapping of Kid fails, Mr. Button wakes up in a bizarre realm with no memory and a new role, protector of a village of quirky bestie buddies. For some reason, I was really having a hard time getting all that to roll off the tongue. I don't know if it was the word flow, but or me. Maybe I just had too much coffee. Can this cranky bear stop a rampaging monster and piece together his shattered past in time to save the kid from the clutches of the corrupted? Packed with the outrageous humor and explosive action fans love, Let's Hunt Monsters #4 cranks up the chaos. The corrupted are back, and they're ready to plunge the universe into a new age of darkness. All right. So there's some fun stuff here. Again, we're loving the premise. If I could give some feedback here, Nick, as I scroll and I position my cursor like right here, we're looking at a wall of text, right? That's a lot of text. So break this up. We got, Mr. Button's back and he's grumpier than ever. Maybe these sections like right here, that's enough. Then insert a picture of the monster hunter, Mr. Button. Let us see Mr. Button in all of his glory. And then you put a little bit more. And then another little image. Because when people see that much text, we talk about this a lot in graphic design class, they go, nope, and they skip, right? Or they skim. They might just read the bolded lines and right here and say, well, does that intrigue me enough to want to read more? So that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's good information. It's just a lot to take in at once. I want to take a look some more at some of the artwork. So we've got Let's Hunt Monsters, the series, Stonker. I know we got some preview pages here. We got sort of the map approach and then the village. And we got this very it feels like this sketchily drawn comic series. I like it. It kind of fits with the fact that it's a teddy bear and a monster hunting book. And we see this big golem looking creature here. And like I said, I feel like I did see at some point that he did do a campaign just for a plushie or a toy or something like that very recently. So that's pretty cool.
So, I mean, and this has a lot of feels, and it's maybe a series that nobody really read but me called Stuff of Legend, where this boy's toys go into a alternate dimension to save him, and one of the main heroes of the boy's toys is a bear. And I'm getting the Stuff of Legend feel, and I love the premise. And yeah, I think if you threw some more, even just individual sketches, I mean, it's not a difficult character that I think you could even do like specific sketches catering to the verbiage. So even him holding a sign like "Don't Panic," I think that would be just like some cool, fun interactives, because you're already leaning into the teddy bear aspect. I would go full freaking tilt with the breakup and all that, because the here is great, but I would totally just rely on the bear to sell it. Absolutely.
Yep. Also, this artwork looks very fitting for the story. I think it works great. But one of the other things that's really can be very beneficial when you're trying to build that audience number, like I said, right now you're in the 20s and 30s, is, again, partnering up with other creators. And that can be done in multiple ways. You can either partner up with other indie creators and say, hey, you're going live, I'm going live. Let's offer free books as part of our incentive. Like over here in our rewards section, we've got, let's see, the digital release is $6, right? So you could do a digital deluxe series like we saw in I think it was the last campaign, where you said you're going to get your book as well as the book of whoever you partnered with or like cross promoting with in this, $10 tier. And then they will do the same thing on their campaign, right? The other thing that I would honestly try to consider, now this might take a little bit of money, whereas the first idea doesn't really cost much, is trying to find, some other artists to do some variant covers. Because right now you do got one here by Michael Hunter, another one by B Rock, and they kind of match your style a little bit. But maybe using what just happened. That was weird. The whole screen went blank for a second. Did you guys see that? Or is it just me?
I think that was just you, but you were like digitally frozen.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's going back to that whole still having a low internet speed, even though I'm paying for a gig per second speed. But anyway, yeah, like continue to try and find, cover artists, particularly cover artists that are, being sought after in other campaigns. So if you study campaigns, you'll notice that some cover artists are being used over and over again, and people are seeking them out and saying, hey, I'm buying their comic because of that cover artist. And so, maybe see how much it would cost to get them. But the easiest one to start with is just doing some cross-platforming and including some digital copies. We've got the digital book is $6. The regular cover is $6. Printed edition of Let's Hunt Monsters with release cover is only $6. That's fantastic. Then we've got the variant for $10. Even at $10, it's good. What I might consider, my friend, is also including the digital copy in that print, because that way they might want to just keep their physical copy pristine. Maybe they want to send it into CGC. They can read the book digitally, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. But we got our variants there, and then we've got Let's Hunt Monsters number 4 with the Mr. Button action figure for $30. That's a pretty good deal.
That's a damn good deal.
And then we've got Let's Hunt Monsters with the Corrupted, which is another one of the toys for $30. Looks like all the catch-up story so far for $30. These are some great prices. So this is really well priced stuff. And then going all the way down, we've got, there it is. Nice. A sketch cover by Nick for $300. Get your own unique art for Let's Hunt Monsters, drawn by the creator. Draw whatever you want on this cover, $300. That's a good thing to have. It's not backed yet, but if you don't ask for it, they won't get it.
No, I think that's beautiful. That is beautiful. That absolutely. That should have been on the other campaign as well.
Yep. Mr. Fish says, I've done variant covers that brought in more than half of the Kickstarter total. So again, that goes back to, if you find hot, Kickstarter or hot artists that are like being used by lots of people and they're well known in the indie community, it can really boost your sales and get more views. But you got to do your research, because there's a lot of great artists out there, but what you're looking for is great artists that have a following that people are eager to get. And that's going to be what helps. I've hired artists that were phenomenal, and not only did not anybody know who they were, but also the artist really didn't do anything to promote. And so it didn't end up helping me that much. So you got to do a little bit of work. Yes, Charlie's here. He said we just reviewed our Claymore campaign. We did. We had a lot of great things to say about it. And we're adding sketch tiers this weekend. Awesome. Very good. So now we're on to the final section of our show where we determine which one we're going to back. But first, we got to give a word from our sponsor. They're paying the bills here, so let's give them some shout out real quick. Let's talk about fulfillment for a second. You've worked your butt off to get your comic made and crowdfund your book. Now you're faced with sorting, packing, labeling, shipping, and tracking potentially hundreds of backers. Fulfillment can make or break your indie comic campaign. It can be downright overwhelming, especially if you're a one-person operation. That's why we're excited to share that our new sponsor, Gemini Mailers, now offers full-service fulfillment designed specifically for independent comic creators. They're offering fulfillment starting at just $2.50 per order, including Gemini's premium mailers shipping at cost. No markup storage, no monthly minimums, so you can ship in waves if you want. They even have custom packaging options like shrink wrap, filler pads, and more. These guys get it because they've been mailing our comics for years. And now they've built a warehouse operation that's already helping creators like us fulfill campaigns smoothly. So if your next campaign feels like it's going to bury you in boxes, be sure to check out GeminiComicSupply.com. This isn't just shipping, it's peace of mind. And we're back, all right? So it's time to decide which one is going to be chosen today. And it's a tough call. We had a lot of great entries. Starting off with Faint, our definitely gore horror comic. Then we had Monster Hunter Claymore. And finally, Let's Hunt Monsters. We had two different monster hunting and Faint, which has also kind of got some demons in it. So lots of great stuff going on. Let's go ahead and throw the comments on the stage as well. So we got our choices here. I am ready. I was getting ready while we were listening to our sponsor there. Are you ready, sir?
Finally, this was not easy this week.
It was. It's time to see if we're going to make the same choice or if we're going to have to resort to going back to the wheel to decide. All right. And Sam, are you ready? I think he's ready.
He's ready.
All right, let's do this. Drum roll, please. Playboard is. All right, congratulations, Charlie. And why did we choose that one today before we go?
I think, well, I mean, based on our own rules, it's even if it doesn't have a video, it is the most complete pitch and offer that we saw today. I think it has a complete package. The tiers are in line. The breakup for the description is on point. They're not wasting the reader's time with a bunch of unnecessary, descriptions and names and shit we don't need to know because we just want to know what it's about. And it's to the point. The premise is solid. The art is good. The tiers are, I mean, more than reasonable. While we were talking about it, you got another backer. I mean, obviously, it is an amazing campaign that I think that of the three was the most complete, but all three were so fucking rock solid that holy crap.
It was a tough call today. But you're right. Absolutely. Charlie's campaign was polished. Even without the video, it was really polished. So if you're a campaign creator, if you're struggling to get the numbers that you want, particularly with the number of backers, go check out that campaign. See how it differs from yours as far as presentation. I know this one that we looked at just recently with Monster Hunters, we talked a little bit about the video. But even if you take that video out of the equation and you look at the information, look at the way that it was presented. There's a clarity that Charlie's had that really sold me on what I'm getting right away. And with this, the last one that we looked at, that was where I felt like it was missing a little bit. I didn't really know exactly what was going on until I got down into it. And so some clarity a little bit. But I did love all of these campaigns today. Go back, all these campaigns, give them some love, support the comic community. And we'll be back next week for another round. And if you are interested in having your campaign on this show, you can post it to me personally. You can leave it in the comments on any one of the videos on YouTube or on Facebook. I put up a post almost every week, either on my personal Facebook or on my Action Line Studios page, where I invite people to post their campaigns, and then we put them on the wheel, as you saw, right? By the way, in case you didn't know, and Charlie's here now, you probably heard me talking about this, Charlie. I have a comic series called Mythica. It involves a Scotsman with a sword, demons, dames, and a Scotsman with a blade. That's one of our taglines that we have. And it takes place during World War I, currently in Scotland. They kind of travel all over Europe, but currently they're in Scotland. And in the last issue, he just got his ass handed to him. So We want to check that out. Go to actionlinestudios.com. And there it is right there. And Smurf, where can they find you and all of your greatness and then see us out?
You can find me at 5280geek.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram under 5280geek. We have our podcast Weekend Geek update on all major podcasting platforms. What? Or you can just go to the website or anywhere. You will find it. Like I said, next week I'll be dissecting some of the public domains that are out there now that are going horror and my reactions to everything else in the world of geek, especially like Predator Badlands, which is holy hell. A great movie. I've already seen it. I'm ready to go. I'm giving Matt tickets because I'm like, you need to go see this. So by all means, check us out. Yes, it's going to be great. If I don't see you this weekend at RMC, drop me a line, give us a shout, give us a like, give us a share. Let us know what we can give you to make you better. But in the meantime, run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night.
Good night. Sorry.